The first New South Wales woman in private practice to be made QC was Priscilla Fleming.
When I left school, I did an arts degree at Sydney University and then got married at 21, had 2 children in quick succession, and then just needed something to exercise my brain. And some friends, legal friends who were lecturing at the BAB course, suggested that I might like to do that course.
The BAB course being, of course, the Barristers Admission Board.
That's right. And so at first it was just for the mental exercise, and I went through that. Because I had a degree, I could do that a little bit shorter. And when I came out the end of that, I said to my father, well, I think I'd like to go to the bar, thinking I'd get all sorts of encouragement from him. And instead he said, oh, no, Priscilla, no, the bar, the rough and tumble of the bar is no place for a woman. And despite that, I decided to go to the bar. And, of course, when I did get there and proved to be reasonably competent, he was very, very proud of me. I managed to get some criminal briefs. That was for the prosecution. That was another advantage of my father being so well known and respected. The Commonwealth Crown Solicitor was very good to me. I did work for the State Crown Solicitor. I did prosecution and defence in criminal law. The administrative law came a bit later, I think. I suppose when you've got more experience, the statutory interpretation needs a bit more experience, and that came in the later years. I was counsel assisting in the Juanita Nielsen inquest. She was a lady in King's Cross who'd been fighting against developers, and she disappeared and presumed dead. And it involved some really shady characters from King's Cross underworld. And I was cross-examining one of them. He was known as a colourful King's Cross underworld identity. And he was in the witness box, and I was examining him. And all of a sudden he dived to the floor and disappeared from view. It turned out that he had been in partnership with another of these colourful characters, but now was an enemy of this colourful character. And he dived to the floor because he'd noticed what turned out to be a window cleaner at the skylight in the roof of the court, and thought that the window cleaner was an assassin come to shoot him in the witness box. There was a tradition as you went into lunch, say in the bar common room, you would take a seat to fill up a table that was already filling. You wouldn't go and start a new table. You had to go and fill up, say there were 4 seats taken and 2 left, well, you'd go and take one of them. And the hostility was palpable. People just didn't want you to come and sit at their table. But, of course, you had to. And then, as they got to know you, that got better and better. But I always felt that there was still some residual hostility, even in my final days at the bar.
The late Pat Moore was admitted to practice on the same day as Priscilla Fleming, with whom she was already good friends.
She was a pharmacist. I think she'd got honours in her pharmacy course. She was a very, very bright person. And when she came to the bar, the pharmacy background was a great help. She did a lot of patent work involving a lot of chemistry.
She also, I believe, later on became a senior member of the Administrative Appeals Tribunal. She
did, and I think they did patent appeals too, so she would have been very useful there.
I was working for a firm called Curry & Curry, and I was doing very boring work. I was working as a law clerk after I was admitted to the bar. And one day this man came in, and his name was Mr. Nurse, and he said, "I'm sorry, but my wife can't come to sign the documents today. She's in court. She's a barrister. But I'll make another appointment for her." And I said, "That's very interesting. I'm a barrister too, but I'm working as a law clerk." And he said, "I'll tell my wife and she'll give you a ring." So she did. So she invited me to come up to her chambers, and she had there on that day about 3 or 4 other barristers. I can remember there was Janet Coombs, Priscilla Fleming and Jenny Blackman.
And would I be right in guessing that the woman barrister who had invited her to her chambers was Mary Gaudron?
It was Mary Gaudron, yes. Jenny Blackman took me to her bank that did a lot of banking for barristers, and they lent me, I think it was $6,000 at that time. And Jenny Blackman went around and found a wig for me and robes and everything that I needed. So in February 1973, that's how I started out in practice.
Carmel Marlowe's practice included family law, equity and government work.
In my early years, I did a lot of trials. I did a big drug trial that went for 8 days, and I was very, very junior at the time, and all the other barristers who were experienced criminal barristers, their clients ultimately pleaded guilty, and I was left on my own because my client wouldn't plead guilty. I was left on my own to run that case when I'd probably only been in practice for about 12 months. And there was another case that I was extremely nervous, but after 8 days, I eventually won that case. I found at the bar people were extremely courteous, and even though I was a female, the judges always treated me with respect, and the barristers treated me with respect, and it was a very dignified profession. I couldn't see any negatives apart from the fact that it was difficult getting briefs. It was also difficult getting difficult briefs, particularly with the governments, that would sort of advance your knowledge and experience. Most of my briefs I got from the private industry rather than governments. The Commonwealth Legal Aid Commission always gave me a lot of work. As far as being a female, I do think that the area that I practiced in, there seemed to be more female barristers. I think that we made a very positive inroads into making things easier for female barristers to come to the bar.